All right. Let's just post this really quick in Discord. Welcome back. Check out the podcast if you like. I will just give a brief introduction here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, let's turn off my desktop audio. I'll give a brief introduction here. This is intended to be an educational project, a Civ Boot project. We do talk about some other just kind of societal kind of issues in the podcast a little bit, kind of theoretical, but really this is fundamentally for education. And one of the goals of the podcast, of this live streaming, is for you to be able to learn. So if you tune in and watch live especially, but even if you ask questions after the fact, I hope to be able to teach. And one of the things I'd like to do is give out small projects that people can do. So if you're interested in doing any kind of like Lua coding or anything, or just a bit of small projects, I could give you I could even write small unit tests or small library functions or something. I could probably have something for you if you're interested in that kind of thing. The other thing we're going to be doing is making educational games. So if that kind of thing interests you, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me, leave a comment on YouTube, or join the Discord. You can find the link for Discord at civboot.org. All right, so let's see here. Where were we? All right, yes, we were in test Lua, and we were trying to implement the loose parser, but we hadn't actually written a test for it. Or we had written a test, but that test failed. So here it's failing. We expect it to fail because we're not setting the loose Boolean. Let's check out this auto parse, or assert parse function rather. I forget exactly how this works. So we have our spec, our root spec, and then we parse based on the spec. And we got parse. Where did we add our loose? Is that in this? That's in the parser directly. Okay. I might add that to the root spec actually. Skip empty. Yeah. Let's add that to the root spec. The parser has the root spec here. Yeah, I want to rename it eventually because it's not a great name. All right, that's fine. Probably name it config eventually. Okay. So that changes a little bit. So look for root.loose. And we still set the parser.loose error here. Let's make this just called first error. And we can just put it right here, actually. So now any error will have this, and this will let us actually assert on this later. So I could see this being useful for purposes besides. So now we can just do if not, then error, and so that just kind of makes the code just slightly cleaner there. So if the first error is not set, we're always going to set it whether or not loose is set. And then if loose is set, we don't throw an error. But if loose is not set, then we do throw an error here. All right. So that's the spec. So this has root equals to root. Where am I getting root from? It's probably just equal to that. Where do I set this? Root. It says that I set it in pickle.lua. Let's back. Huh. I don't know where it's shut. I have actually something to help with this. Help pickle doc. Yeah. Oh, this is confusing. It's actually in the Lua submodule of Peggle. There we go. Okay, so that'll give us our root and our loose root. This is a little auto importer. Basically, any local variables that are still assigned to nil, it'll import from that directory. We can go over how that's implemented some other time. Okay. So that should pass until that fails, right? Okay. So instead of root here, we're going to do loose root. Okay, so that ended here. So it actually passed the assert parse. I think, if I remember right, assert parse actually returns the parser it created. Result node and parser. Let's clean this up a little bit. I think the result is nil. Yep, the result is nil. The node is nil. The parser should not be nil. We're gonna do first error, sorry. And I'm just gonna do this, and that'll give us a nice, oops, I like doing expected result. That's how I like to do it. Attempt to index nil, huh. .366, it's saying that P is nil. Let me just double check that. It is saying that P is nil. Node parser. Okay. Let's Let's do two things. Let's do this and just make sure this fails where I think it should. Test. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, that fails where I thought it should. Let's put a log here. We're going to do log.warn. Boost parsing error. Yeah, so this will, and I like to make this a little cleaner. I don't need the double end. Okay, let's try that. So it failed. Let's just do the message here instead of the full error. Okay. Two things and I mean that seems to be doing about the right thing. Okay. So why is this not returning the parser? Okay. It actually did get a token out. Okay. Why are we failing? Oh, did I not implement assert parse? Assert parses from Peggle. Don't know parser. Oh, here we go. If not, t.expect and parse only. This is probably okay. Here we go. That was my problem. Token does not equal nil. Okay, great. Sorry about all that. Yeah. Let's actually do something different here. We are going to expect. Wow, I've forgotten how to make comments in Lua. Let me remind myself how to do the expect. Let's just do expect equals. We're just going to make an empty table here. See what we get. Keyword local. Okay. So yeah, so we're parsing and it gives me just the single item because we're in loose mode. So we don't expect that. That's not actually what we want, but we're going to let that be the result for now while we work on this. So that's not right. Right? Okay, so that actually worked. Okay. So that's our result. What's our node? I'm not going to worry about that right now. The parser is not nil. Okay, so now we can say we expect, we're just going to put in some fake data here. P.firstError. Okay. So here we can see that we're getting 2, 16, which lines up with line 2, 16. It's saying that this right here is our first error. This ending bracket. And the error it's giving us is that 2, 3 is invalid. This seems to be pointing to a better spot. Should I even going only 15 over? That does seem to be there. It's interesting that this is giving the right answer, but 16 actually looks more like here. So that's a little odd. I'm not going to worry about that exactly right now either. I'm going to say 2, 16. We're going to do FE1. We're just going to assert that those at the line and column, and we can work on that. We'll fix that, hopefully. Can investigate that bug. These are relatively minor bugs. I don't know if I'm going to fix them right now. I'm not sure why they're appearing. It's worth investigating them. So we just put in some fake data there. What? Oh. Plain subject. Oh, matches. Oh, and it's pattern first. Well, I guess I'm not using contains over. It's saying this is failing. Wow. Local f equals I out of format. Apparently I have never used this. I got a nice little B is not a set. B subject. Right. Okay, so yeah, this didn't contain it. I can say that it should contain this. 2 space 3 is invalid. I think that that is a completely legitimate. Okay. Ooh, that was some really funky business. What is this printing? Let's fix that right now. This is being logged. Yeah. What is this printing? Payload of 476. It's printing a long list of things. Yeah, let's fix that. So I'm not sure how I can fix that. Let's just remove that. We don't need that log anymore. 476. Okay, so let's see what we've done here. We cleaned up assert contains. Apparently we never used that, which is kind of funny. Maybe a little embarrassing, but we fixed it. We added the loose feature in the root spec, or loose mode. We added a first error that allows us to assert on first error, and it's this int string. It's the line call error message of first error. That'll let us read where the first error occurred. And I think what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to actually call this line equals column equals. I think that's how I do that. Okay. Test loop. So this will be .l. This will be .c. And this will be the first one. Just a little minor thing there. Okay. We added the first error feature that lets us assert on what error was received. We did a relatively minor thing where we returned the node and the P, even when the expect is not there, and we use the assert in a test with a few errors that we need to fix. Cool. Okay, so loose parsing. Okay, so we need to figure out what's going on with this, why it prints perfectly, but it's looks like it's not the right error message. So again, let's do a yeet here. And the reason we do that is because these run sequentially, and now we can see all of our logs. Let's improve this log a little bit. Okay, so this does believe this is at 216. This is 213. This is 211. this is the current place. Ah, you see how we set the column here? What am I doing here? Error, cause, parse stack. I've made this quite complicated for myself, haven't I? Error, feed.tet or raw data. L message, the line, the length of the message, plus the column minus 2. Why is it minus 2? Is it because it's why is it minus 2? Probably should have put a comment there as to why I put that minus 2 there. Because I have no idea. Minus 1 makes sense because this needs to go where the column is. But where's the second one coming from? Oh, is it just because of how string? Huh. Okay. It says it's 216. 1, 2. I can imagine going minus 1 with it. So here. Yeah, that's column 15, column 1. I can imagine going minus 1 with it because the parser failed at the next one. I don't think it's necessary. 16 is fine. Let's just stick with it. Okay. It's interesting the displaying. I think this is actually wrong. I think this is supposed to be 1. I think the only reason it wasn't, all right, I'm gonna stop here, is because I thought it looked better at the time, which was an error. 355. Error expect. I'm going to expect it to be 1 more over. Okay. Okay, this, we're going to let that be okay. Okay. So when we continue next time, we're going to figure out why this is not parsing. I am pretty sure it has to do with how we've implemented loose. Yeah, we need to be using loose block. So let's just do that actually right here. So this will fail. Again, let's do ds.yeet. Okay, so we're trying to get to that yeet. So now this is returning what we expect. The local, a function. So it doesn't know this is a function. So that's the thing to point out. It just found a keyword function, but it doesn't know that this is a function block because the parsing failed. So it would be able to maybe label this as a function keyword, but that's about it. It does appear to know that there's a statement expression happening. Okay, yeah, so it knows that this is a proper statement expression, and it knows that this is a var set, and it knows that there's a plus happening, and it kind of knows that this is a keyword and some numbers, and that there's an end here, but it doesn't know that this is the function end, right? So normally this function would be wrapped inside of a single thing. So one of the nice things here is we can just copy paste this. This is about what we expect. So we can just paste it right here. We can delete that. And delete that. Over-indented. And so now that passes. So this is what we got. This looks about right to me. I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to just clean up a few things. I like to, for blocks, I like to use this formatting where you have like the kind as like the start of the block. That's all fine. I'm going to make these be their own start. Oh, I've got... It's like, why is it not auto-indenting? Make these each kind of their own thing. You can keep things like this in a line. 367. Oh, I forgot to put a comma at the end. Oh, this is a call. There we go. Oops, I apparently committed that. I'll just amend it here in a second. All right. Oops, I do want to edit. Okay. All right. So in theory, our parser should now be ready. We should be able to plug it into our editor, parse the file. The only thing that's left is we need to map these keywords and things like that over to actually syntax colors that the file can use. So thank you for tuning in. Tune in the future. Ask me any questions you have. Maybe if you want to work on a specific kind of project, I can try and come up with something I'd like to. The goal of Civ Lua is to be educational, so I'd like to start educating. So if you're interested in learning, let me know. Thank you. Bye.